read about a double dream I had where looking for another place to move and the father of this world was in it, and I thought I would just read this dream so we can look at it and people can make the right choices. I'm going to read both dreams. I dreamed I was looking for another place to move. The father of this world was going to help me. We had found this house out in the country, and some other people were there. It was pending about the money. Well, in a dream, money, is a mystery, for favor, usually. It was pending about the money. The road leading to it was very muddy. The cares of this world, are like mud that slow you down, and it was in the street, so, the cares of this world, it's showing you were in the way. And the road leading to it was very muddy, and people had gotten stuck. I think like 3 times we went on that road, and I was in the passenger seat of the car, and I told them, don't get stuck, don't get stuck. It simply means don't get bogged down in the cares of this world. Look at the Lord Jesus Christ. Well, with me in the passenger seat, that means that somebody else was spiritually in control of what was going on, and I was just riding along, is what that's a picture of. Passenger seat of the car will see I was up front. The front represents in the future. We never got stuck. If you trust in Jesus, you won't get stuck. And if you do, He'll help you get out. That's the only path. So back to the dream. They would drive on the left shoulder. And the storms come from the left side, and the right hand is power. And the left side, is not usually representative, of very much favor. So they drove on the left shoulder, and the weather was just so rainy, and there wasn't a chance anything would dry out. Well, back at the house, it was 1 floor or 1 story, and it was in a valley. This life is the valley of the shadow of death, and that's what story it was talking about. And the house was not mine, meaning spiritually I did not belong to it. As the day progressed, the father of this world just never came to discuss matters on the finances to when or if I would be getting this place. Jesus Christ, the remedy that gets rid of the father of this world. I went into the back room. The back represents the past. They said they had a windstorm, and I had talked to them since the place did not have central heat and air. Jesus is the center of everything. And, His Spirit keeps you warm, and He is the breath of life. And a house is a body, central heat and air. There you have it. And it said the house did not have central heat and air, so it's saying that if you're unsaved, need to get saved. But a fireplace in every room. And that hell has flames in it. But they were not being used. It had rained again, and I saw water sitting outside. The house was threatening to flood. And I said, if it rains, more of this is in danger of flooding, and when it gets cold, I'm going to need some wood. And I said, I won't cut the live trees down. Jesus is life. I always cut what's already down, and I see several trees that are already down. And what's death and not bearing fruit, is cast into the fire. That's in the Bible. And I realized a huge oak had gotten blown down, in this windstorm. This huge oak comes to represent the nation of America. And the previous summer. And part of it had hit the house and broken a window. A window, is your vision or whatever. And it was daylight outside. And in the sunroom, the laundry room, that represents preparing your garments, doing your laundry, your spiritual garments. I saw a big hickory on the ground, it was way out, and a nut tree was a meat tree, and the Bible it called it that. But it was down, so it was no longer bearing, it had been blown down. And it was very windy at the time, about 20 to 40 miles an hour, and raining. 40 represents the probationary period, being up, or the time of testing. And the rain, whether it's blessing or judgment, depends upon the condition. And it was judgment because it was very windy and threatening to flood and do bad things. That's how you know. And I saw at least 3 sycamore trees. Well, in the Bible, the sycamore trees were the mulberry trees. And in the dream language, it'll go back to I'm from here, so a sycamore tree will be like the sycamore tree that I see every day. Well, I saw 3 of them out in a field. The field is the world, and they were about a foot through at the base, and the leaves on them were green, but some were turning yellow. It's telling you it's getting toward the fall of Babylon, and the prosperity is going to be cut off, because that's what the sycamores represent. And 3 is like the perfect divine order. I saw 3 of them out in the field, which is the world. Back inside the house, it needed repairs. That means that my spiritual life, or that spiritual life, needed touching up with God's Word. It was a pretty good size fixer-upper. Jesus fixes things up. I thought when it dries out, I can work on it. But it never did. It kept raining. So it got dark outside. That represents the end of your prophetic day. The time to work, closing. It got dark outside. Still, the father of this world had not come to give me a status report. And, if you believe in Jesus, you don't have to worry about the father of this world, the devil. And find my place again, and the other party in the house couldn't reach the father of this world either. Then I saw nearly all 5 fireplaces were nearly rusted out, and it didn't look very likely to be able to use them again. One room had a pressed board floor in it. It had gotten wet, and I stepped through it, and it went up to about here on me. And I didn't get hurt in it. And Jesus, delivers you from anything, is what that's talking about. And I had stepped through it, didn't get hurt. And it was dark, and the father of this world never came. So me and about 5 others went to bed and slept on the floor. And it was dark, and I saw 2 small roaches climb up a cabinet. And bugs are your representative of demon spirits, in a dream. And you store things in a cabinet. Well, I got back up an hour later. Well, the judgment on Babylon is in an hour. So I got back up an hour later. The father of this world still had not come to this place to tell me a status report. And I was discussing with them, they didn't know why he had not come yet. And I had said, when I get this place, I'll work on it. Well, the father of this world never came and I woke up. When I get this place, I'll work on it. That means Jesus will help me, and he delivered me from the father of this world, the devil. The second dream, I dreamed I was looking to move again, and I had gone back to Oklahoma to my former place. And several people were happy to see me back. Another person was also house shopping. There was like 4 or 5 people. And she said they would do the loan for her place. She was real happy, and that she was going to be getting, a different house that she had wanted was shopping for. And just remember, Jesus laid down his life, which we didn't deserve, but he gave us salvation and gave us a pardon so we can go to heaven. That's why she was so happy. And just remember that. And she was real happy. And I went from the yard into the big house. And people were happy. Well, I saw a fireplace in the dining room. The dining room represents like spiritual things. What kind of spiritual things am I meditating on? What kind of spiritual things am I eating? Well, I saw a fireplace in the dining room, but there was no fire. Then I saw a wood stove that I had had at a house that wasn't in Oklahoma, that I had had in 2006. And I said, there's my old wood stove. Before you get sold, or before you get saved, it's the former things, the old man, old wood stove. And unsaved, you go to hell without Jesus. And the name of that street was West Oak Grove Road. The West is the end of the day. America is represented by the big oak tree that blew down in the first dream. And the groves symbolizes a place where they did a lot of idolatry in the Bible. Those two went together. West Oak Grove Road. And I said, there's my old wood stove. I used to do those things, but I confessed them and repented and turned away from it. And the stove represents judgment. And I saw there was no fire in it. Jesus, quenches the fires of hell. And it was not hooked up for use. So at the chimney, there was another fireplace at the back door that went out of the kitchen, yellow fire brick. And that's off-white, an antichrist color. And a chimney is where the smoke goes up, and burning, represents getting rid of something and things like that. And I saw this was not in use. So I went back in and I said, I'll move back in this one since I left it. As I looked toward the back door is the past. It was a furnace. There was no fire in it either. I turned back into a door. The furnace went away onto the small deck. Well, at a neighbor's house, I said, I wonder if they'll get on to me. And I never saw any dogs next door, no nothing. Dogs represent in the Bible evil-minded period, or people, if I can talk. And David, I think it was, said, beware of dogs. And the weather was sort of cloudy. All the floors were vinyl, and wood planks, and that pattern right there, and brown linoleum. Then it hit me. I said, and it was weird because when I really sold the house, a guy named DeJesus, or it was spelled Dejesus, bought it. And so then in this dream, I said, didn't the guy named Jesus buy this place? And I said, yeah. So I'm not moving back to Bartlesville, and I never saw that Jesus, but I said, yeah, Jesus bought this, I'm leaving. And if you ask him into your heart, you can move to heaven because he paid for you to get in. I woke up, and those are the two dreams that I had last night, and I tried to interpret those the best that I could. And sorry this video is long, but I thought that was interesting. And another tidbit it said was they had put the central heat and air, and said if you have central heat and air, you don't have to cut that firewood anymore, meaning you don't have to be cut off if you get saved. And that's what that's talking about. And in another dream, I saw my mother, and your mother represents like a nation. It was like Great Britain, I think, gave birth to America. That was her mother. And it's talking about who gave birth to these cities. And it's just like people, nations and cities have a mother too. And I dreamed about my mother, and she was killing bad things that were gonna attack us and could poison us. And Jesus does that as well. And hope everybody enjoyed this. Sorry it was long.